I did mention Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Now, if you don't know who Ben Shapiro is, he is a political commentator. I was going to say journalist. He's a bit of a journalist, political commentator. He talks about he's a conservative political commentator, and he is, for context in this, Ben is a Jew. He is Jewish by heritage, but also by faith as well, and very strong on his belief and defense for his Jewish heritage. And obviously with all of this Hamas stuff and Israel stuff that's going on right now, Ben is obviously in big defense of Israel and obviously feeling the pinch from his fellow country people or from his nation, if we were to say the least. Now, one of his other she's not a co-host, she is another host that's on another YouTube channel, but on the same, within the same media network, I think you would say, the Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro is the co-founder of Daily Wire. And there was this report the other day that I saw on Valuetainment. So Patrick Bet-David on the PBD podcast was sharing about Ben had a public dig at Candace Owens. Candace Owens is a strong Christian. Actually, let me pause it here. Ben publicly, had a dig at her. Actually, I said that to someone today and they're like, what? I realize that not everyone's Australian, but that's a very Australian colloquialism. Having a dig means have a go at or, pick on someone for it or whatever. So Ben, publicly, kind of berated Candace Owens by her attitude towards the Israel-Hamas situation. In response to that, Candace Owens made this post, which is actually from Matthew 5. It's the Beatitudes. And she's put this post on Twitter, X. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say a manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. She didn't tag anyone. She didn't target anyone. But Ben then responded to this as if it was. Now, it may have been, they obviously knew what was going on in the background. And he, remember, he is her boss, per se. He then responded by, pretty much saying, well, you're happy to take our money, so if you want to choose that over yours, then over your values, then you can quit, right? So, Dr. Rod, public feud. We've spoken about publicly promoting things and your disputes and everything like that. We've spoken about that a lot. Now, previously, it was in the context of kind of covering up. But I think we can talk about our point a little bit more without getting attacked, not so much, but, rather than getting all the negative comments from the internet about the actual incident, because now we can actually talk about the real thing that we were talking about is like, there is quite obviously, because as you said, there's also an interview that Candace did on Tucker Carlson, and you were just talking about that as well, where she kind of shares a little bit that, it's been a little bit tense and everything like that. So there is a little bit of context that we do need to know about that. But when two, let's say, like colleagues even per se, are in disagreement about something, should they be doing it publicly?
No. I don't think there's too much more to say. No, I don't think it really helps. I don't think it helps anybody. So the short answer is no. There are much better ways of dealing with interpersonal conflict, even when it is over big ideas.
Now, some people have said in the past, when we've commented on this, is yeah, but you're public figures, so you've got no private life, so you should be posting. Your things should be public. But that, just because you have a disagreement with someone doesn't necessarily mean that you should publicize that, right?
No, look, I've said before that public figures are not public property.
Yeah.
And I would stand by that. So I just don't think it's edifying to anybody to see a spat like this played out in a public arena.
So to bring it back more on, because these are two celebrities, let's say, like two personalities and very famous people, but let's bring it back to the everyday leader, business leader out there that's leading a business. Should threatening someone, it's not really a threat to threaten someone to quit, but like, should we as leaders be challenging someone? Well, go on, quit then.
Oh, look, we can do that in the heat of, an emotional moment. But again, I don't think to do that in a public space is really a good sign of leadership. I think good leaders would save that for a private conversation. But look, having said that, Ben Shapiro is clearly under a huge amount of stress.
Mm-hmm.
He keenly feels the war that's going on between Israel and Hamas at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget that he himself has to have 24-hour security.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever he is, at home, at work, he's got security because his life has been threatened on numerous occasions, both him and Matt Walsh, another one at Daily Wire. They've got 24-hour security. So they're living in a situation of much higher stress than you or I.
Yep.
You just showed me your injured finger. Well, that pales into comparison with the kinds of pressures that these guys are under.
Yep.
And undoubtedly, Candace Owens is under a lot of pressure as well. Look, all conservative public figures are in the United States and in most other countries as well,
Mm-hmm.
because there's such intense animosity towards anybody who holds conservative values and speaks conservatively in the public square, be that the digital public square or the physical public square. So we've got well-known figures, both undoubtedly under all kinds of stresses. Candace Owens was in her 40th week of pregnancy
Mm-hmm.
when she did her interview with Tucker Carlson, so that's obviously much on her mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think both of them were operating from fairly emotionally charged situations.
Yeah.
But the wise leader, I think, would save this spat for the private space. And I don't think we need to be voyeurs looking in on their disagreement.
Yeah. So, I mean, to share a little bit of personal story, you mentioned my finger, and I may as well mention it because this is this pink elephant in the room. My finger waving around here with a bandage on it. It kind of goes with what we're talking about. Is like when we're in high tension, we don't make the best decisions. On Friday night there was this massive storm here in the Dominican Republic. Like, people were killed. We had tunnels that were collapsing and tunnels flooding, and my house was actually in the moment was leaking from literally every room was leaking, and floor was full of water, and my son was with me, and he was over, kind of intense because of the storm, and there was a lot going on that I was dealing with. There was so much going on, and I was trying to cook dinner, and in that moment of, let's call it overwhelm, I made a poor decision and I cut off my half of my nail on my index finger. So we as leaders, we operate in high intensity moments. Any leader, like, yes, there's some that operate more and everything like that, but that's what a leader is. We operate in high tense moments, in intense moments. That's kind of what sets us apart. But in those moments is actually crucial to make the right decisions, because you'll end up with losing a finger, or there'll be a public spat like this where Ben Shapiro is majorly under pressure because all the Israel stuff. He's probably feeling it internally, but also you mentioned his his life and his family's life is under constant threat at the moment as well. Candace Owens is going through all of the challenges of pregnancy and the last moments, preparing everything for hospital and hormones and I don't want that to be clipped of like that just being, oh, she's hormonal. No. Like that it's just reality of the situation. There's so much that goes on around a birth of a child. But we still need to operate as leaders. What advice do you have to people that are in a moment of overwhelm? Because I would say that one word that I actually used in the moment just before I cut my finger, I said, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. Like I said that to a friend of mine. So I just sent a message, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. But I still did this. So what do we do in those moments of overwhelm? Because we as leaders, our organizations still rely on us. We can't just fall in a heap in the corner and just go, I can't do this or whatever. What can we do to prevent emotional responses, but still be a leader without, just shutting off completely?
Look, it's easy to say, but I do believe that you need practice in understanding that it's your choice how you react to a situation or to a person, but also recognizing we don't do that perfectly. Yeah. We have moments when we lose it, and that's one reason why it's a good idea to lose it privately and not publicly. But I think the key really as a leader is to practice the art of not allowing someone else or a situation or environment make you mad. Realize that you actually control how you react to any and every situation.
Now that's good, but I want to add, additionally, that's not the right word. Additionally, I want to add to that because there's some really practical things we can do also to do that. The one thing that I know is that when I'm overwhelmed and I'm being bombarded by things and I need to make a decision, obviously I've got people like yourself. I've got my Erin, who's been on here, who's a psychologist. That I've got my board of advisors that advise me on things, pray over things, and everything like that. So if I am needing to make a tough decision, I never make that decision on my own. I've always got yourself, Dr. Rod, or Erin, or the rest of the team. So that's one thing that I would suggest is make sure you've got people around you that you can help shoulder the burden. The biggest issue with leaders is we tend to take on too much of the pressure for ourselves, where we aren't responsible for everything ourselves. We shouldn't do everything by ourselves because we get burdened by it. And so my recommendation to leaders is make sure you have other people around you that can help you shoulder at least the emotional burden. Don't carry it yourself. Yes, you still have to run your business. I have to run my business. But when I'm in a tough situation, when I'm feeling overwhelmed or I don't know how to respond to something, I have my advisors that I then send a text to and say, hey, this is the challenge. What do you suggest? Or here's the email that I received. Here's the response that I'm thinking. I'll send it through to them first and get their perusal. And usually they come back with something completely different because they're not caught up in the emotions of it. But we as leaders aren't responsible to carry everything ourselves. But we do find ourselves in a moment at overwhelm or an intensity that might be beyond what we can handle, and we respond to conflict poorly. And so how we respond to conflict better is to make sure that we're not making those decisions from an emotional place, either have preset answers and responses to certain things, or have a team or have at least someone that you can shoulder the emotional burden with and share that with them, get their opinion that's not emotionally tied up in the situation, and they can help you make the best decisions in those moments so that you can handle the conflict like a boss. And I don't mean like a boss, #boss. Hey, you just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube Leadership podcast. If you like that, hit the like button and put a comment below. Hey, if you want to watch more videos like this, check out our channel, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe.